Hey everybody, welcome back again to another episode of Momentum Motorsports Meeting. My name is Wyatt Thompson. There is a lot to cover. I went to Daytona to be at the Media Center representing Spinnaker and Spinnaker Radio. So right now what we're going to do is just cover the two races from Daytona, the Xfinity Race and the Cup Race as well. We'll talk about all the great storylines, my media experience, all the people that I've met. It will be very, very exciting. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This is Momentum Motorsports Meeting. Alrighty, so now we'll go ahead and dive into the Xfinity Series. I mean, watching that race, there is so much to cover. I want to start with Parker Kligerman, Junior Motorsports, and Connor Zilisch. Kligerman was put on standby for this Xfinity race, and during the first caution for Harrison Burton, he switched with Connor Zilisch and was able to kind of nice and steady drive through the field and get the win. I don't really know if that's ever happened for the first time ever. Like if a driver, won a race subbing in for another driver. Pretty cool statistic if that's the first time that's happened. This is also Junior Motorsports' 9th win at Daytona, and I got to ask the boss man, Dale Jr., what it means for him to get their 9th win at Daytona. This is what he told me. Wyatt Thompson with UNF Spinnaker Radio. Assuming the 88 passes tech, this will be Junior Motorsports' 9th win at Daytona. Tell me, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I told everybody we had a beer toast this week celebrating the Glen, and I told everybody, I said, heading into Daytona, I said, the 21 will be tough to beat. Austin Hill's incredible at this racetrack. Give him all the credit for being really talented and has a great race car. I challenged our team to try to put cars in the trailer to come down here that could compete with the best and go out there and try to win the race. And I told them, I said, Daytona is very special to the Earnhardt family, and we like to go down there and represent our family and our heritage at that racetrack. So that's never really going to change. A lot of times a team may think that the draft is this great equalizer and there's no reason to really pour a ton of resources and time into the car. But I disagree. I think if you add up all these tiny little things that you think might help the car, you make the driver's job easier and you give him the confidence that the car can do what it needs to do so he can make the moves with confidence he needs to make. The driver will realize inside the car early in the race whether the car is capable or not, and he either gains a bunch of confidence or loses confidence, and then he drives differently depending on that. So, we did bring some good cars here, and there's always work to do, but I was proud of the cars we brought and the work they did to be able to put speed on the racetrack. And so pretty happy about that. Yeah, Daytona's always fun to win here. And I do, statistics are fun for me, data's fun for me, and numbers like that, you try to add to the legacy and the success that we've had here.
I also got to talk to Parker Kligerman, and I kind of asked him how it felt to get redemption at Daytona this weekend, because 6 months ago, during February at this track, he won the truck race opener and unfortunately got DQ'd. I asked him kind of what it meant to finally get redemption. This is also what he told me. Wyatt Thompson with UNF Spinnaker Radio. Congratulations to both of you on getting the win at Daytona. Parker, I'll start with you. You got the win at Daytona tonight. It was big redemption from Daytona in the Truck Series earlier at the season opener. What does it mean for you to finally get redemption?
I felt that a little bit. I was thinking about it the last restart for sure. But I think that was an unfortunate situation, but you can't dwell on the past and let that sort of fester. And I knew this was an opportunity to go win at Daytona, and so that was part of what was so exciting when Dale called and when this came together. And obviously, I hate the circumstances of which this happened, but I'm glad to make a positive out of something that could have been really negative, and glad it was not. But I think it definitely was a little bit, and it felt sort of like deja vu being in Victory Lane again, like I'd just been here 6 months ago. So, it was. I don't want to say it's old hat, but it was definitely it was super cool, and to see all the different faces from this race team and Connor around the front stretch and Dale and everything was just so awesome. So, and to do in the Xfinity Series, finally get a win, chase that for a while. It came so close, so it means a lot.
I also got to talk to Connor Zilich and kind of what it means to him to have now 7 wins in the Xfinity Series this season as a rookie. And I also talked about his fight with Justin Allgaier, his teammate, for the regular season championship.
And for Connor Zilich, this is the 7th win of the season for you as a rookie. What does that mean for you?
Like, does this one mean that I tie Seabell, or does this not count? Does this count or no? Like, it does? It counts? Oh, that's cool. That is something that I did want to achieve. I didn't want to achieve it in February because I didn't even know that was a stat. But now that I know that it's a stat that I want to get. So, 7 wins. What are we? What's the date? August 23rd. Still have 2.5 months left in the year. So, there's still plenty of time left to get more, and that's certainly something that I'm looking forward to doing. And I know I think this is we've won 5 of the last 6 with the 88 team. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy run that we have been on, and I'm just really glad that I get to be a small part of this team, and that's I kind of at the beginning of the year I had some choice of who I would get for crew chiefs. It was Andrew Overstreet or Marty, and I knew that with either one, I would succeed. And I knew Marty had multiple wins and the Xfinity Series before me, and then obviously Andrew and I had a special bond after winning together at Watkins Glen last year, and I knew that I would succeed with either one, and I kind of went. I didn't get the choice, but I ended up with Marty, and it's been a complete blast. All the guys, Pat, Tanner, Dylan, who joined us a little bit through the year. Everybody has done a great job, and Beeve too. And my pit crew, man, they did an awesome job today. Yeah, we gained 6 spots on that, and that allowed Parker to start in the front 3 rows at the end there, and gave him a chance to put himself in a spot. So yeah, Josh up on the spotter stand, everybody is doing their jobs at a 10 out of 10 level, and that's why not anybody, but Parker, a lot of guys, Kyle and Parker, that's why they can get in and succeed right away is because everybody else is doing their job, and I feel like as a driver it's easy to join a succeeding team and do well. So I feel like that's kind of the situation that I've been put in, and it's been a lot of fun.
And then one quick question. There's 2 races left until the Xfinity Series playoffs begin. You're currently fighting with your teammate Justin Allgaier for the regular season championship. What does that mean to you, and how are you going to come out on top?
Yeah, the regular season is a small part of what the playoffs are, and I'm glad that I was able to start today and get those points. I think we got 40 points, valuable points for the playoffs, and obviously Justin had a great day too, and got a lot of points for their team. So it's going to be a battle down to the end. Obviously Portland will be a good track for me. Gateway I've never been to, and that could be a question mark, but I just, it's cool that I even have the chance to be in this title fight. I think 3 months ago I was 12th in points, almost 200 points out of the lead, and mentally I had checked out. Like I didn't think I had a chance at this. So to be in this position, I certainly did not expect it, but I'm grateful for it and excited to have the opportunity to chase that in the next 2 weeks.
Kind of crazy. He has 7 wins in the Xfinity Series, and he's already so young. Like, I think he's 20 right now. Just insane. The amount of talent that he has, and he's in great equipment, don't get me wrong, but the amount of talent that he has is just insane. And I know he wasn't in the full race, but he was in there to start it, and that's basically the rules. To get, if you want to get the win, you need to start the race, and you can basically have someone fill in for you. So congratulations to Junior Motorsports, Parker Kligerman, and Connor Zilic. As far as the racing goes, it kind of felt like a war of attrition because qualifying got canceled due to lightning, and then the race kind of got delayed twice in stage 1. And I feel like NASCAR kind of wanted to get this race in quickly because they didn't throw the caution, and I'll explain that in a bit. One caution was for Harrison Burton, who got spun out early in stage 1 on the backstretch, and it looked like the yellow was going to get thrown. I thought the yellow was going to get thrown, and TV and the broadcast just basically showed the field still racing. So I was pretty surprised with that. And then when I thought it was going to be a one-off, it also happened again, this time with Raja Carruth with about 30 laps to go. Raja Carruth also spun as well on the backstretch, and NASCAR didn't throw the yellow. As far as my reaction to this, I feel like not enough people are talking about this because, it's only 2 cars and, it's only, just 2 incidents on track, but I just felt like NASCAR should have thrown the yellow. They normally throw it. Normally they would throw a yellow if something like that happened, and they just didn't. And, they threw the yellow for Harrison Burton, but that was only because there was weather in the area. It actually wasn't for the spin. So I just found that pretty surprising. I understand kind of why they wouldn't want to throw the caution. They've already ran over half the stage in stage 1 under yellow just because of the weather. So, I understand trying to get the race over and ended, within the TV window. I don't know. Either way, that was just really surprising. That's kind of what it just felt like, at least for me. Let's go over the notable finishers. It's a Junior Motorsports 1-2-3 finish. Great day for them. Jesse Love, a solid 4th. He and his teammate Austin Hill didn't seem to have as much speed as they used to. They were good. They were very good, still very competitive. RCR was the main favorite heading into this race, and normally they would win. I thought they would win this race easily, but it looked like Junior Motorsports kind of had something for them, and I think that's going to be something to watch when we get to Talladega in about a month and a half during the playoffs. Something to watch out for RCR. Shout out to Dean Thompson getting a nice top 10. How about Garrett Smithley for SS Greenlight Racing getting a top 10? Brennan Poole for Alpha Prime Racing as well. Carson Quapple finishes 10th. He was caught up in an early wreck, raced around for a little bit, and was actually pretty competitive near the end of this race. That's a pretty good recovery all around. That's all 4 Junior Motorsport cars finishing in the top 10 at Daytona. That's insane. Ryan Ellis for DGM Racing gets a nice top 15. Patrick Emmerling, Garrett Smithley's SS Greenlight teammate, getting a top 15. SS Greenlight having a really good race at Daytona this past weekend. Mason Maggio for Joey Gase Motorsports gets a top 15. Harrison Burton, I do want to mention him. He spun out early in this race, like I mentioned earlier, was trapped 2 laps down, came into this race as the last guy in the playoffs. For a second, when he spun out and when the caution wasn't thrown, I was worried for him for a second. But then when the other playoff drivers had trouble and when he was able to get back on the lead lap, fun fact, he was actually 2 laps down before he got on the lead lap. And when he got back on the lead lap, I think he wasn't as worried, and he was actually able to recover and actually still able to contend for the win. So finishing 16th, it's a very great recovery considering all of the other drivers fighting to get in the playoffs also had trouble. 16th is a great run for him, but I know that AM Racing and Harrison Burton wanted more. Jeb Burton finishes 20th, was caught up in a late race caution. Didn't get that much damage, but enough damage for Harrison Burton to outrun him. Ryan Sieg, man, I want to talk about him. He had a great car. He really did. For a second, I thought he was going to win this race. He led the most laps of this race, fun fact, 19, and was leading near the end until he went to the high side a bit to block a run on the high side, and it looked like he went up just a wee too late, caused a big crash, involved Jeb Burton, Christian Eckes, Harrison Burton, both of the Burton drivers involved, Matt DiBenedetto and Daniel Dye. Just a real shame. I know a lot of fans were probably rooting for Ryan Sieg, the underdog, to get the win, and it's kind of crazy that like one mistake, one little misstep, or one little moment of doubt can ruin your day just like that. Those are your notable finishers. Let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff bubble. With 2 races left until the Xfinity Series playoffs, the playoff bubble really did not change all that much, especially when Harrison Burton was able to get his 2 laps back. Harrison Burton is now plus 36 above the cut line, the last driver in. Jeb Burton is the first driver out, minus 36. Ryan Sieg, like I said, was probably a few laps away from actually winning the Xfinity race at Daytona, but that late block to the high side might have cost him a chance to get into the playoffs. Sieg is minus 56 points out. Basically needs to win unless Harrison Burton kind of DNFs the last 2 races. Dean Thompson, and I do want to shout out for him getting a top 10. He's 72 points back. Christian Eckes, a colleague racing driver, is 80 points back. Those 2 pretty much have to win, and everyone on down as well. Taking a look at the drivers above the playoff bubble, I mentioned Harrison Burton already, plus 36. Taylor Gray is plus 67. He's been very, very solid on the road courses this year. Next week for the Xfinity Series is Portland, so I think if he has a pretty decent day at Portland, gets some nice stage points, I think he's pretty much locked in. Sheldon Creed is plus 84. Again, I think if he has a decent day at the Xfinity race at Portland, I think he'll be locked in as well. And then the final driver is Carson Quaffle, plus 120 points. Basically, if he starts this race, he's locked into the playoffs. So that's pretty much, that's pretty much the entire playoff bubble with 2 races left. Will be very, very interesting, and definitely can't wait to see what happens next week at Portland. So that's the Xfinity race. Now let's get into the Cup race, and there is a bunch of storylines. I interviewed so many drivers from here, I don't even know where to start. So much to get to. Drivers on the playoff bubble having trouble. Lots of drivers that haven't won yet needing to win, but I'm going to go ahead and start with the winner. The winner of this Cup race was Ryan Blaney for Team Penske. Got the win in like a 4-wide finish. I don't think I've ever seen that ever. Holy crap, a 4-wide, not necessarily a photo finish, but yeah, the front of the field was 4 wide, and Ryan Blaney was able to pull ahead. Led the most laps, 27, actually tied for the most laps led, was up near the front in stage 1, had a slow stop, I think in the middle of the race because Chastain was doing a longer pit stop, taking tires when Blaney thought he was just taking fuel. Came in on the second to last pit stop with 1 to go for extra fuel. Then a quick spin by Joey Logano was able to gain some track position with other drivers pitting. And then in the final 8 laps or so, he went on a tear, man. Was racing around the high line, waiting for other drivers to play their hand. And when it was finally time, he played his. I got to ask Ryan Blaney before the race on Saturday about the 2026 schedule, along with, if he could get up to second in the standings after the race. This is what he told me.
Wyatt Thompson with UNF Spinnaker Radio here. You're only 25 points back from Chase Elliott, who's currently second in the standings. Do you feel like you could potentially get up to second in the standings at the end of Daytona tomorrow?
It's possible, for sure. I think that's one of the biggest things we've looked at this week of, we can get to second, and that's big. A few more bonus points for the playoffs. And after the season we've had so far with a bunch of DNFs and stuff, it's pretty amazing that we're 5th. It just shows how well we've run. And to have a shot at second, I think, is really, really strong. So, yeah, it can definitely happen. I'll be paying attention to the guys I'm racing around in points all night through the stages and stuff like that. And then when you get to the final stage, you go try to position yourself up for the win, but you try to snag as many stage points as you can. So, yeah, it's definitely possible. That's for sure. You never know what can happen.
And then with the 2026 full Cup Series schedule released earlier this week, there's 2 off weekends, and then Chicagoland Speedway is returning to NASCAR. Just give me your thoughts on those.
Yeah, I think bringing Chicagoland back is a great move. With losing the Chicago street race, bringing the Chicagoland, at least Illinois has a race still in their state. So I'm happy with that. And Joliet isn't terribly far away from the city. And I think a lot of people have been trying to push for that track to make a comeback for a long time. I was pretty sad when we left there because it would put on a great show. I think with this card, put on a fantastic event. So yeah, I'm excited for that. With the schedule next year, I think us going to Coronado is going to be a lot of fun. I was able to go out there a few weeks ago and meet all those folks, and not all of them. There's 40,000 people that live on the base, but to meet a lot of their head people there. They're great people. They're really excited for us to come. They're going to roll out the red carpet for everybody. And to celebrate, I think it's 250 years, or maybe 150 years of the Navy, I think. 250? Yeah. I think that's great to be a part of that. To celebrate their history and things like that. That's just what I'm really excited for that too. So yeah, I think they did a good job on the schedule. Some things got moved around. People made a big deal about Watkins Glen getting moved to May. It's like, why? Who cares? It's fine. It'll be pretty. It'll be pretty up there, I promise. But yeah, I'm happy with the schedule, and so that part's good. But yeah, Chicagoland is definitely top of my list. That I'm pretty pumped that came back.
I also asked him after he won the race what it means to him to get Team Penske's 6th win at Daytona. And I also asked his crew chief, Jonathan Hassler, what his mind was going through when he made the decision to call Ryan Blaney down pit road on the second-to-last caution.
Wyatt Thompson with UNF Spinnaker Radio. Ryan, congratulations on the win at Daytona. This is Team Penske's 6th win at Daytona, and I just kind of want to know what it means for you.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was great to have RP here. Walter, everybody. It's always great to have RP around and Walt, and to see them in Victory Lane, celebrate with them. It's always fun. So, it means a lot. Every time you can be successful for Roger, and that's all you want to do, and that's all I want to do, at least. And to have him out and celebrate with him in Victory Lane, that makes my day, and I was happy we could deliver something fun for him tonight, and hopefully the IndyCar boys, he's heading up to Milwaukee tomorrow, so hopefully the IndyCar boys can do the same thing.
Wyatt Thompson with UNF Spinnaker Radio. Jonathan, congratulations on the win. When you made the call to call down Ryan Blaney onto pit road with 1 lap to go on the second last restart, what was kind of going through your mind during those last 50 or so laps?
Oh yeah, leading up to that decision, we had kind of lost our track position. And you really just try to, cash in on whatever advantages you can make of your situation. And certainly that led to, we stopped and put an extra set of tires on because, there'd been some debris on the track, some blown tires, possibly a brake rotor on the track. Came in, like you said, and got the extra fuel and tried to take advantage of that. And then, from there, it's just, Ryan tried to make a little bit of progress once we, everybody still had to save a little bit of fuel in that run. Ryan tried to make a little progress, but, we were kind of gridlocked a little bit, and just hoping that, kind of expecting a late race caution here. And, when it didn't start to play out, Ryan, continued to push forward. And like I said before, picked the right lanes at the right time.
Blaney in that 12 team this year has been fast pretty much everywhere the Cup Series goes, and he's definitely carrying Team Penske pretty much the entire season, kind of like the last couple of seasons. And this is his 2nd win of the season, and now with this win, he now finishes the regular season 2nd in the standings. It's funny because when I mentioned that to him before the race when he got the pole, I was like, maybe I predicted the future, and it turns out I did. And considering that Blaney has 7 DNFs, finishing 2nd in the standings with that many DNFs is very, very impressive. Congratulations to Ryan Blaney and Team Penske. Oh my gosh, this race was such a great race. Let's get to the notable finishers. Suarez and Haley came up just a bit short. Justin Haley on that final lap, man, he was trying to block his heart out and trying to drive the race of his life. He was very, very aggressive with blocking. And when he tried to, cover the bottom, when Cole Custer tried to make a move on the bottom lane, Haley covered it and then just didn't come back up to cover Ryan Blaney. And man, I could tell when Ryan Blaney jumped to the outside and got the lead, I was like, oh, this is going to be a photo finish. This is going to be a photo finish. And it wasn't quite there. It came close, but just not quite there. Huge heartbreak for Justin Haley and Daniel Suarez, who are currently outside the top 25 in points heading into this race. Yeah, man, that's a huge bummer. They came oh so close. And Cole Custer kind of came out of nowhere near the end and, gets a solid top 5. I know, a win would have been huge for Haas Factory Team and for Cole Custer especially. Yeah, what a huge heartbreak for those 3 drivers, Suarez, Haley, and Custer. Eric Jones was up near the front the entire time, and during stage 3 when he got shunted out of the way by Kyle Larson late in this race and was actually able to climb back up to 5th. Good run for him. Good run for Josh Berry. Josh Berry with a nice run. Michael McDowell, I do want to mention him. He was very, very aggressive blocking, especially in the second half of this race, and I kind of got to speak to him before the race started about, his thoughts about Chicagoland returning to the 2026 schedule, and I also, asked him how important qualifying is to him, considering there's no practice, and also considering that this is the last race before the playoffs start, and this is what he told me.
Wyatt Thompson with UNF Spinnaker Radio. How important is qualifying to you, knowing that there is no practice at Daytona, considering this is the final race before the playoffs start next week?
Yeah, so I'm not really concerned about, the not practicing or not having laps parts as much as I am about having a better starting position than what our current, metrics is. Pit road selection and all those things are important, but I think we're all used to just unloading and going now, and I don't think much would change, as far as what you would do for adjustments, or because it's so different today compared to tomorrow. Like when you go to qualify, these cars are on the ground and drive terrible and bounce all around and shooting sparks, and then you pick it up off the ground for tomorrow and it drives nice and feels like a completely different car. So I don't think that part matters as much as just getting a better, starting spot. Track position, I think still matters. I mean, I know that there's times where this race ebbs and flows, and in the pack you can, somewhat make moves, but I would rather be starting in the top 10 than starting 18th or 19th. So, I would like to get qualifying in for sure.
And then my last question for you. The 2026 schedule has been released earlier this week. Chicagoland is coming back to NASCAR. What are your thoughts on that?
My honest thoughts, I would like to add Chicago Street Course back if we could. I'm obviously really biased when it comes to that. Chicagoland is a really fun racetrack, and it has character, bumps, slick. We haven't been there in so many years. I don't know what it's going to be like. But this current package races really well at mile and a half, so I feel like it's a good selection. I just hate losing a road course in the mix.
Michael McDowell needed to win this race, like a lot of drivers, and was pretty much up near the front all race long, and just wasn't near the front near the end to get the win. Ryan Preece was also running very, very well near the end of this race when, with about 8 laps to, or 4 laps to go, he got split 3 wide and just couldn't catch back up. Ryan Preece was also very, very solid during this race. I thought he could have won this race as well. I do want to mention his teammate, Brad Keselowski. He ends up finishing 18th. Before the race began, I asked Brad about what his thoughts were on the 2026 schedule with Chicagoland returning to NASCAR and the 2 off weekends, and this is what he told me. The 2026 schedule was released earlier this week. There's 2 off weekends. I'm kind of curious on what your thoughts about that as a team owner and as a driver.
Yeah, 2 off weekends is a good number. I think they're nicely spread out, and it's good for the garage, good for our fans, and well received.
Do you like that Chicagoland is back on the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot in the schedule I didn't like, to be honest. There's going to be everyone's going to have their own thoughts and opinions on it. But Chicagoland is a track I've had a lot of success at. So selfishly, it's always going to be good when you have a track you've won at before.
Thank you. Brad Keselowski ran a pretty good race. Definitely dodged some early wrecks in stage 1, but just wasn't near the front when he needed to be. His teammates Preece and Busch were kind of stunk up the show and overshadowed Brad Keselowski, but they also still ran pretty well. Another driver that I got to interview was William Byron, a Chevy driver for Hendrick Motorsports, won the regular season title last weekend. So we kind of had, a little bit of an off weekend. And speaking of an off weekend, I got to ask him about the 2026 schedule having 2 off weekends, and this is what he told me.
Wyatt Thompson with UNF Spinnaker Radio. The 2026 Cup Series schedule has been released earlier this week. There's 2 off weekends. I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's great. Like, I think it's good. I feel like it kind of breaks things up a little bit. I don't remember exactly. I think there's one in August or something. So, yeah, I think that's good for the guys. We've been rotating guys through the summer. So, a lot of our road crew's been different at, pretty much every race we've had a sub in some way. So that's, there'll probably be a little less of that, I guess, with the off week. But, yeah, that's been the trickiest challenge of going from April to now, is just trying to kind of keep everyone fresh.
William Byron, from my eyes, also had a pretty quiet run going. I think he was working with a couple of his teammates, Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, during some portions of this race. Finished 19th. Overall, solid, nothing too eventful from William Byron. Another driver that I got to speak to was Shane Van Gisbergen. I asked him what his thoughts were on the 2026 schedule, and kind of frankly, he said he hadn't really even looked at it. And so then I asked him, what was on it with one less road course this year, 2 off weekends. I also asked him about his confidence and, does the top 15 run he had at Richmond last week kind of boost his confidence on the ovals, in the playoffs. And then the final question that I asked him was, if he somehow makes the round of 12, does he see himself winning the Charlotte Roval, which is the elimination race for the round of 12? Oh, and then just kidding, that wasn't his last question. This was his last question. I asked him kind of what the plan was for the Cup race at Daytona. Alrighty, here with Shane Van Gisbergen. The 2026 schedule has been released earlier this week. What are your thoughts on that?
I haven't really looked at it, to be honest.
No, haven't really looked at it. There's 2 off weekends. Chicagoland Speedway is coming back. There's one less road course in 2026. Any other thoughts?
I knew there was one less road course, but yeah, that's about it. I don't know much about Chicagoland, so that'd be cool. But yeah, as I said, I'm sorry, I haven't really looked.
No, it's okay. So your top 15 last week at Richmond was very, very impressive. Pretty much ran top 15 almost all race. How does that boost your confidence into some of the other oval races in the playoffs?
Certainly adds to it, yeah. I feel like we've been ramping up. We have been getting better, so yeah, and it was a genuine 14th, and then we had problems. We went back and still got back to where we were, and probably could have been better than 14th if I drove a bit better and the car was better too. So yeah, the potential's there, and we just got to keep working hard.
If you make it to the round of 12, do you see yourself winning the Charlotte Roval at the elimination race?
I don't know. I don't think like that. There's some tough weeks ahead of us, and that's the focus first. You got to get those races right before you think about that stuff. Yeah.
What's going to be the plan for Daytona? Is it try to collect more playoff points, or maybe help your teammate Daniel Suarez get in the playoffs?
Yeah, you answered it yourself. We'll try and do that, but there's a lot of people in a must-win, and there's going to be a lot of desperate people. So I'll be probably taking the safe option. But yeah, if my car's good and I'm comfortable up there, I'll race in there. But yeah, I can see this race being chaotic with so many people under pressure.
Thank you, SVG.
SVG ran a pretty solid race, in my opinion, especially in the second half of this race. Was up near the front with his teammate Ross Chastain, And speaking of Ross Chastain, I asked him before the race on what his thoughts were on Chicagoland Speedway returning to the schedule and the 2026 schedule having 2 off weekends. I also asked him what his plan was for the race. This is what he told me. The 2026 full schedule was released earlier this week. Chicagoland Speedway is coming back to NASCAR along with 2 off weekends. Just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, all for it. I've raced Chicagoland before and want to race there again, especially with this current iteration of Gen 7. We're in a really good spot for those tracks, and that big bump down in 3 and 4, the curved backstretch off turn 2, it has the potential. I mean, it was putting on good racing at the end in Cup when other tracks weren't, and I think it has the potential to do it again. And then off weekend wise, don't care. Just let me know the schedule. I don't get emotional about it.
And for your plan for tomorrow, what is the plan for tomorrow? Is it going to be helping out your teammate Daniel Suarez getting into the playoffs, or just go for more playoff points?
Well, if I have the opportunity to help the 99, he better hang on. I'm going to help him. There's not even a question. Other than that, until the very end, though, how can I help? I don't know. We've talked through scenarios this week, but we then also ended the meeting with the possibility of executing any of those plans at any success rate is going to be really tough, but we know the intention's there.
Thank you. SVG ended up finishing 16th, and his teammate Chastain ended up finishing 15th. Those 2 drivers really seem to work very, very well together, especially near the second half. Do you want to give those 2 drivers some good shout-outs? They ran pretty well and were definitely contending for the win was pretty impressive with their performance. Another Chevy driver I got to speak to was Austin Dillon. I asked him what his thoughts were about Chicagoland Speedway returning to the 2026 schedule, and he really seemed to like North Wilkesboro being a points race and Dover being the All-Star race. This is what he said on that. The 2026 schedule was released, the full schedule was released earlier this week. There's 2 off weekends. Chicagoland Speedway is returning. Just what are your thoughts on that?
Love Chicagoland. Can't wait to go back there. That's probably one of the coolest ovals that we used to go as a 1.5 miles. One of the best finishes, I feel like, was that last race there. So to replace a road course with an oval, I'm all for it. I wish Chicago street course wasn't the one getting replaced, because I've always showed pretty good speed there and enjoyed that tight place. And but either way, you're bringing another option, I feel like, of a win, a shot of a win at Chicago, and go out there and have some fun in a 1.5 miles.
How do you feel about your shots winning for tomorrow?
Your question you missed is, what's my favorite thing about the schedule? Is North Wilkesboro getting a points race. That is a short track. I'm all about the short tracks, obviously, right now, and then Dover is probably, there's Watkins Glen and there's Dover for me that I've put a lot of focus on trying to get better, and moving the needle is very hard. So Dover moving the All-Star race, I'm kind of happy about that too. Not even gonna lie.
How so? Just as
because it's not a points race. It takes one of those opportunities out. Well, I mean, I'd love to win $1 million, but points racing and championships, that's what the ultimate goals are. And we can test and tune, I guess, at the All-Star race. That'll be kind of probably our program, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited North Wilkesboro is a place you can go win a NASCAR trophy and make it a points win.
And I'm assuming that the plan for tomorrow is to kind of help Kyle Busch get into the playoffs?
Yeah, I definitely probably going to play wingman as much as I can and help him in that, because, I mean, it's a game changer for RCR if we get 2 cars in the playoffs, and just flips the whole momentum of where we're at as a company. So, yeah, I'll be helping all I can, and my little brother's out there too, try and help him some.
Austin Dillon, kind of like William Byron and Brad Keselowski, was pretty quiet this weekend at Daytona. He ended up finishing 24th. I want to give a huge shout out to Cody Ware. Cody Ware was up near the front for most of the night and actually led 23 laps of this race. That's the most laps he's led in his entire career. Entering this race, he had led 11 laps. So 23 laps led for the last race of the regular season. And a 20th place finish is, definitely very impressive. I know it's not where he wanted to be, but in my opinion, I really do think that he had a great run. Probably the best race of his career for sure. Another driver that I got to speak to was from Team Toyota, and that was Chase Briscoe for Joe Gibbs Race. I asked him what his thoughts were on the 2026 schedule with 2 off weekends and Chicagoland Speedway returning to the schedule. The 2026 schedule has been released earlier this week. Chicagoland is coming back and also 2 off weekends. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm super excited for Chicagoland. As long as they don't touch the racetrack, if we go there and it's the old surface, super slick, wore out, rough, it'll be, I think, awesome, especially in this next-gen car. It'll kind of be a mix of Homestead and Kansas, which I feel like are arguably 2 of the best tracks for this car. And then, I'm all about 2 off weeks. It's a grind, obviously, especially this year. We're just, having the one on Easter weekend, and then you don't have another one until the end of the season. So, I think the whole industry as a whole, drivers, crew, media, everybody will be glad we have that second off week in August for sure.
So there's obviously the 3 rounds in the round of 16, or I guess I should say, out of all the races that are currently in the playoffs, what tracks do you think you have the best shot to win?
Yeah, I feel like all of them in the playoffs really are good tracks for us as a race team and even myself. I really like how the playoffs kind of line up for myself. So, I don't really feel like there's one that I'm not excited for. Talladega is obviously one that I'm probably the most nervous about. But, I think, really all the tracks in there are really good tracks for our race team and myself.
Thank you. Chase Briscoe also was somewhat quiet and led some laps as well, so not too bad. Ultimately finished 23rd. Another driver I got to speak to was Joey Logano, who everyone expects to be up front at the super speedway races. I asked him how his shots of winning this race was, along with his thoughts on the 2026 schedule and how he felt with Homestead Miami Speedway being the championship race next year, and this is what he told me. Wyatt Thompson with UNF Spinnaker Radio here with the Joey Logano. Joey, good to see you starting in the top 5. Obviously, qualifying is canceled, but how are the shots of winning tomorrow?
I mean, I feel pretty good about it. Obviously, even if we made a lap in qualifying, you still don't know what you have for the race. But super speedways have been pretty good for us in the past when it comes to speed in our Fords. So I'm assuming that they're going to be fast again. I don't see what would have changed, but you never know. So overall, I do feel pretty solid about it. I feel solid about the teamwork of Team Penske and the teamwork on the 22 as well at the spotter up top. So I feel like we should be good.
The 2026 schedule was released earlier this week. Chicagoland Speedway is returning. There's 2 off weekends. What are your thoughts on that?
It looks okay. I mean, I haven't studied it a whole bunch. But I like the San Diego to Sonoma trip. That sounds like a good one for a lot of people who want to maybe hit a couple races. They could do that in the West Coast. A couple off weekends in there's nice. Having Easter off, it seemed like was good. I think I saw that. So, it's good.
And just what are your opinions on the championship race being moved from Phoenix to Homestead Miami Speedway?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think everyone's kind of seen that one coming.
Yeah.
I think they already announced it, didn't they?
They already announced it
earlier,
but
so
the full schedule came out.
Right. Yeah, I mean the playoffs definitely look interesting. Round of 8 has Talladega in it, which will be interesting.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks. From my vantage point, Joey Logano arguably had the best car. He was leading most of the race during the final stage until very, very late in the race with, I think, 11 laps to go. He just got loose out of turn 4 and spun. He was trapped to 1 lap down and ended up finishing 27th. There was never an opportunity to get that lap back. It felt like he and Chris Buescher worked really, really well together, especially when his teammate Ryan Blaney was kind of start near the back due to his long pit stop in like the middle of this race when, Chastain had a longer pit stop than Blaney expected, which I talked about earlier. Tough one for Joey Logano. I definitely thought he had a shot to win this race, and big bummer. Another driver that I got to talk to was Alex Bowman. He ended up finishing 36th, and he was the last driver in the playoffs entering this race. And before the race started, I got to talk to him about what his plan was. What's he going to do? Is he going to get stage points? Is he going to just go for the win? And then I also asked him, how he felt when Austin Dillon won at Richmond a couple weeks ago. And then I also asked him about the 2026 schedule and his thoughts on that and how important qualifying is to him. And this is what he said. You're currently the last driver in the playoffs right now. What is the plan for tomorrow? Is it to go for stage points to try to outpoint Tyler Reddick, or just go for the win?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to go for stage points first and kind of see how that goes and kind of make a plan from there. So, yeah, stressful, but we'll do all we can to make it happen.
And that, Austin Dillon winning last week, how did that, make you feel when you heard that he won?
That made me, I was frustrated, right? Like, I was running them down and got my tires too hot in lap traffic, and then we didn't run them down. So, yeah, it was just frustrating, but also, props to the 3 team for executing that and going there and being fast at a racetrack that's extremely difficult, and going and winning when they needed to. So, yeah, I mean, that was cool that they did that. It makes my life more stressful this week, but hopefully we can make it and just keep digging.
The 2026 full schedule was released earlier this week. Chicagoland Speedway is coming back, and the last time NASCAR raced there, you won. How excited are you for that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really unique challenge with the next-gen car. It's so rough, totally different than anywhere else we go, except for Fontana, and we don't go there anymore. So going to be interesting to see how the next-gen car gets around that place, but looking forward to the challenge.
There's also 2 off weekends in 2026 as well. Just curious on what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great for the teams. Like, the team guys, their schedules are crazy. They're the guys at the shop loading up at midnight in the middle of the week. So for them to be able to be home with their families an extra week, I think that's really cool. From my side of things, it's nice, but means a lot more to those guys for sure.
And obviously qualifying is canceled, but if qualifying wasn't canceled, how important do you think qualifying is, knowing that it might be hard to pass with the fuel saving and the super speedway product?
Yeah, I think it's qualifying there is super important. Just, it is really hard to pass these days. So starting up front, hopefully make stage 1 a little easier. Hopefully I don't find a way to mess that up, and we can go from there.
Thank you, Alex. As far as Alex Bowman's plan for this race, he really seemed to stick to it. Running inside the top 10, trying to get those stage points to out-qualify Tyler Reddick on points if there is a new winner. But unfortunately, late in stage 1, he was taken out of the race on a crash. We'll talk about that in a bit. I also got to speak to Austin Cindric, who was in the same crash as Alex Bowman. For about 30 seconds, I just got to speak to him when he was released from the infield care center. Just kind of talked to him about how his car was and mainly got a view of what happened, and this is what he told me. Alrighty, here with Austin Cindric. Are you okay? And can you just tell us what happened there?
Yeah, just stuck in the middle of the wreck, and clearly cars got turned around in the tri-oval, and I was too far back to miss it. I'm not sure I could have made it through that. So just a shame, and wrecked race car and bad points.
Yeah, just can you tell me about the balance of the car real quick?
The car was okay, honestly. I thought my car handled well, better than most. So would have liked to see what we could do for the rest of the night.
Thank you, and guys, you're okay. Cindric had a pretty big hit. It's a shame we never really got to see, what he could have done or what he had compared to his teammates. Unfortunate crash for him. Just ultimately had nowhere to go. And so if you're wondering what happened, earlier in this race, late in stage 1, we saw our best version of the big one. Bubba Wallace in the middle lane kind of seemed to move down to the bottom and squeeze Joey Logano. It looked like Joey Logano and Kyle Busch were to his inside, and I don't think Bubba really knew that there were 2 cars to his inside. Pretty big mistake because it involved several cars that included Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, Noah Gragson, Riley Herbst, and when Bubba Wallace kind of came down on the racetrack in front of the field, he took a massive head-on hit with Austin Cindric. Thankfully, Cindric and Bubba Wallace were both okay. But, yeah, just a pretty weird wreck. And I don't think Bubba Wallace really knew that there were 2 cars to his inside. That was a pretty big wreck that involved a lot of cars. And keeping up with all of the incidents, Tyler Reddick early in stage 1 got tight and spun out Todd Gilliland. Reddick also spun himself out, but considering he was racing Alex Bowman, provided that there was a new winner, he also needed to get stage points, and unfortunately didn't get any. But fortunately for Tyler Reddick, Bowman was involved in that Bubba Wallace crash, so Reddick was locked in on points, and Bowman, like I mentioned earlier, was involved in that late stage 1 crash, and was unfortunately out of the race. And for the rest of the night, it was all just a matter of waiting and hoping that there is a repeat winner. And for that final 8 laps, it was mighty close. But with Ryan Blaney winning, I bet Alex Bowman can kind of breathe a sigh of relief knowing that he is now in the playoffs. I also mentioned that Tyler Reddick is also into the playoffs as well. So the playoff bubble didn't really change, but especially when stage 1 ended, I think a lot of people were thinking that there's going to be a new winner, and Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney tried their best and made sure that there wasn't a new winner, and ultimately Blaney won. But next week, when the playoffs start, that is going to be that's going to be insane next weekend. Those are all of your notable finishers. I want to talk about this race. This race was very, very eventful. Stage 1 with multiple cautions was something that I didn't really expect at all. Stage 2 and the final stage seemed to calm down maybe a little bit, and then the final restart, I was just losing my mind. For the Cup race, I was mainly in the media center, essentially all race long. For the Xfinity race, I will mention this, I was kind of in between. I was also kind of in the fan zone, then in the media center, then back in the fan zone, then back in the media center. I was kind of all over the place. But for the Cup race, I was mainly in the media center. And watching this race from the media center was very, very solid. I think a lot of reporters were kind of wanted to make a lot of emotion as much as I did. This race was very, very solid. Extremely solid. The final restart, man, I think it had a lot of reporters just ultimately losing their minds. It was a fantastic race. It felt like tires actually mattered more than fuel. Like heading into this race, a lot of fans expected fuel-saving racing and gridlocking, and we saw a little bit of fuel saving here and there, but it wasn't as much. It felt like a lot of the drivers were just going full throttle for most of the race, and I really, really like that, because then it allows lots of drivers to kind of come and go as they please and actually make passes. And I feel like out of the Talladega races and Daytona races with this next-gen car, this race this past weekend was probably the best super speedway race that I've watched, and I really liked it when drivers were able to make their way toward the front. That was very, very cool. Even though we've done all of our race reviews, so there's still a bunch of storylines post-Daytona. Before we get to some team announcements, I do want to mention Kevin Jones, a WWE player who was the Grand Marshal of the Coke Zero Sugar 400. I kind of got to ask him a question, and basically what I asked him was, are there any other racetracks that he has been to? And this is what he told me.
Wyatt Thompson with UNF Spinnaker Radio. Have you been to any other racetracks in your life?
The only one I've been to is the F1 racetrack in Montreal, but never to see a race or nothing. There's music festivals out there I'll go to. Actually, the only time I've been to this particular speedway is around Christmas time. They do like this Christmas light show. So I've been here with my family for that. And I came to Rockfest a few months ago to see Korn. And I was telling myself, I should really come here for a race. So when I got the call yesterday, I was pretty pumped to get to do it. So yeah, but those are the only two I've been to.
Pretty cool. I really, really enjoyed talking with him, and hopefully he can be at some more NASCAR tracks. One other person that I do want to mention before I go ahead and talk about my NASCAR media experience was I'm kind of a main engineer kind of guy that does all of the transmissions and axles for all of the Cup cars, and He's a person that has shared a lot of stories with me. Was actually friends with Steve Burns, who was a famous NASCAR reporter in the 2010s, and I kind of got to interview him, just basically, what he does and how his weekend was going. This is what he said. I am here with Don Epling. Donnie, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Tell me kind of what you currently do right now.
I handle all the transmissions for X-Track for all the Cup cars, and I go racetrack to racetrack in a motorhome, which has a workstation in the back, which if anything is to happen to these transmissions, we have technicians and engineers at the racetrack so they can take care of any problems that we have.
Can you describe to me, what you do kind of mainly during the week when you're not at the track?
I drive the bus, racetrack to racetrack, and once I get there, I clean, go to the grocery store, do the laundry, and make sure everything's prepared for when the guys come in on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, and the Cup Series schedule, it's 38 races a week. Can you describe to me how challenging that can be on a week-to-week basis?
It's a lot of driving, and then sometimes we get a short hop, but most of the time it's anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 miles, depending on the trip.
The 2026 NASCAR Cup Series schedule has been released. There's 2 off weekends. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, one weekend I'll be close to home. That's the Bristol weekend afterwards. So I can go home. But the other one is going to be between Indy and Iowa. So I'm already halfway to Iowa, and I'm not going to drive all the way back. So I just live in the bus at the time and saves money for the company, and I don't have to drive the extra 900 miles.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts about Chicagoland Speedway returning to the track in almost more than half a decade?
I'm pretty excited about it because it's basically the same as Kansas, and it's a fast racetrack, and I think they'll do good there with these new cars.
What are your thoughts about NASCAR racing at San Diego?
I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest with you, because it'll be the first time we ever rode on a street road course except for Chicago, but this is going to be laid out on a military base, so I think it's going to be pretty fast, for these cars.
Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great time watching all the races at Daytona this weekend.
Thank you so much for interviewing me. I appreciate it.
Next up, we've got some big announcements. Trackhouse Racing announced earlier this past weekend before the Cup race started that Connor Zilich will be their 3rd driver for 2026 on a multi-year deal. Red Bull and WeatherTech will anchor as the sponsor for Connor Zilich. Connor Zilich was very emotional. Pretty much after Justin Marks spoke, he was just thankful of everyone that supported him. And I got to ask Justin Marks what it means to him, seeing that Connor Zilich has 7 Xfinity Series win this year as a rookie, and this is what he told me. This is Connor's 7th win of the series, or 7th win of this season in the Xfinity Series. What does that mean to you?
What does it mean to me? I mean, it means that, when people talk about potential, people talk about we think he can do this. I mean, going out there and doing it is a whole nother thing. And the fact that he delivers in the big moments when there's an opportunity to win, he just has this ability to just win, is a hugely important asset. And because, the opportunity to win, especially on Sundays, they're hard to get. And when you have that opportunity, having the ability, the talent to be able to go and close the deal and make it happen is really, really important. So the fact that he's done that so much in Xfinity, it's a whole nother thing. Like learning how to drive fast is one thing. Learning how to win is a whole nother skill set. And the fact that he knows how to win races on different types of racetracks, I think just bodes really well for his future in the Cup Series.
I will say this. The number for Zilich hasn't been announced and will probably be announced soon, but just reacting to this announcement, I mean, everyone pretty much saw this coming, I even me, and I think I'm sure everyone is wondering how Connor Zilich will do next year. And right now he's replacing Daniel Suarez, who's 27 at points, and I think fans will be happy if he finishes top 25 in points. But in my opinion, I think he's going to contend for a playoff spot. I think this is a hot take that I'm making. I am aware, but I believe in his talent. And, as far as I can say of, how well he'll be on like the road courses, I don't think he's going to win. I think SVG is going to be making plenty of that and winning plenty of them. For the super speedways, I feel like Zilich is going to be kind of up and down. And on the ovals, I feel like he'll run top 20, maybe top 15. And I do want to mention that he's made some Cup Series starts this year as well. So he has some experience. And kind of switching to his performance on the road courses, last year during the truck race at Circuit of the Americas, he was the one to beat if he didn't make several mistakes. So that's kind of the take that I have on Connor Zilich on how I think he'll be next year. I think it's a hot one. I think, I feel like it's a stretch to say that Connor Zilich will be a playoff contender in his rookie year. I think it's just something that we'll have to wait and see. And then the last little piece of announcement that I'll get post Daytona is Kaulig Racing. Kaulig Racing announced that they will be in the Truck Series next year, with Ram being the manufacturer. This effort will be a fully funded Ram effort, so Ram is going to be fully funding, this effort and helping out Kaulig Racing. Kaulig Racing also announced that they will field, quote, up to 5 trucks for Daytona, and seeing some photos, one of those trucks will have the number 10 on it, but man, up to 5 trucks, that's insane. I also know that Kaulig Racing is hiring people to help out with their Truck Series program. I also know that Ram, and according to Bob Pock, is that Kaulig Racing might buy out some of the Spire Motorsports trucks. It's expected that's going to happen, and it's also pretty interesting that Kaulig Racing is running Chevys for next year, but also running Ram in the Truck Series. And both shops, the Ram shop, will be in Welcome, North Carolina, along with the Kaulig Racing shop. Kind of looking at all that information, Kaulig Racing doesn't really have much to lose. I don't think they're the best Chevy team, not even the second best, and that's regarding the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. I feel like they're near the bottom of the barrel, in my opinion, and I don't think they really have anything to lose. Like, their Xfinity Series program is having their worst season yet. There's nothing to really lie about it. The statistics say all the facts. And I think, Kaulig joining with Ram, I think it'll take a couple of years before they become a lethal force in the Truck Series. I think it's also important to note that no drivers were involved with this announcement. The announcement was mainly occurring at a Ram dealership owned by Daniel Dye's father, so I could probably see Daniel Dye driving for Kaulig full-time in the trucks. I think that's definitely possible, so it's going to be interesting to see what drivers will be driving for Kaulig Racing next year in the trucks, because I really, really don't know. Other than potentially Daniel Dye, I don't really have any ideas, so it'll be interesting to see how Kaulig runs next year in the Truck Series. So those are pretty much all of the post storylines from Daytona. I do want to go over my NASCAR Media Center experience. This was my first time doing this, and it was absolutely amazing. I met a lot of people, and I got to talk to a lot of really, really cool people. The Motor Racing Network, I pretty much met and talk to all of them. I really do think that they kind of believe in me, because what I want to do is be a NASCAR broadcaster, and I think they really seem to like me and really want to help me out. I talked to Steve Popst for a bit. He's a real gem, man. I want to kind of glaze him. He's awesome to talk to. If anyone hasn't talked to him, he is an amazing person to talk to. It was awesome to chat with him. I also met with the famous NASCAR reporter for Fox Sports. That is Bob Pockris. Kind of talked to him for a couple of minutes, just kind of told him who I was and kind of let him do his own thing, because I know he's got I know he's probably got a tight schedule. And then another person that I also met was Jacob Seelman. I was kind of working on my stuff to prepare for this episode, and he just kind of tapped me on the shoulder. And Jacob Seelman, I'll just give some background information. He's an editor-in-chief for motorsportshotshot.com, the website, and he kind of tapped me on the back and just kind of came to tell me that all of the questions that I was asking were very, very good. And he kind of said that, he hasn't really spoken to me. He's never seen me before. And to kind of give me, a good amount of praise, I think that really, really meant a lot to me. And I think knowing that he did that, I think it felt like to me that he was in the position I am. This was his first time in the media center like this, kind of doing this, asking, famous drivers questions for the first time, being a little bit nervous, and just kind of saying hello to me and giving some praise to him. I think it really, really meant a lot to me, and I definitely plan on kind of leaning on him for any questions that I might have. It was really nice to speak to him, and even some of the NASCAR Daytona workers that were handing out microphones out to reporters during the press conferences. I do want to mention this: at the end of the weekend, some of them said that my questions were very well thought out and they thought I did a great job. So I really do believe that I got noticed in the media center, and this is my first time ever really doing it. I feel like that's really great. I felt like I was in heaven. There was a bunch of food and drinks and all kinds of desserts there. It was pretty nice, and I think I was definitely noticed very, very well in the media center. I do want to notice, as far as other tracks at the end of this year, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to go to any of them. As far as other tracks that I could potentially go, I definitely want to make sure that it's within driving distance from Jacksonville. I think anything that's like more than 8 hours away is just way too much, in my opinion. I don't know if I could do that, but I definitely don't want to do the championship race at Phoenix, Arizona. I feel like that's just way too far, way too expensive. I do want to do it. Like, eventually I do want to see all of the other tracks, but some of them, at the end of this year, there might be one that I'm thinking about attending to, and that's the Charlotte Roval. That's a road course, so kind of changing things up a bit there, I think will be definitely pretty cool. And maybe I'll see if I can make that happen. But definitely thinking about a lot of the tracks that I want to go to next year in 2026, like Homestead Miami Speedway is back on the schedule as a championship date. That's a track that I really, really want to go to. I also want to go to Atlanta Motor Speedway as well. I know there's plans on me attending basically Daytona in February, just doing all of Daytona Speed Week. So it's definitely stuff that I'm looking forward to. That's currently being worked on, and I just kind of can't wait for what the rest of the season will have. And it's going to be crazy. We will be back. That is all the time that we have. We'll be back next weekend. What do we have next weekend? Let's take a look. We've got a lot of races to cover for next week. We've got the Cup race and truck race at Darlington, the Xfinity race and the ARCA West race at Portland. The ARCA main series is going to be at DuQuoin. And then Formula One has the Dutch Grand Prix. And then the IndyCar race is on its final race of the season for the NTT IndyCar Series. And that's going to be at the streets of Nashville. So, that's going to be a lot of races to cover. We'll definitely be prepared to cover all of that. I will see you all again next week. Again, a huge thank you to everyone that made all of this possible and, getting me my NASCAR media credentials. I will see you all later. Have a great day, everybody.